everyone, hope you're having a good day. This video is about the Indiana Trail 100-mile ultra race. Okay, so this race was very interesting. It's a really fun race to do, but you got to be ready for a few things, and I would love to tell you about my experience. So I'm from North Carolina, so I ended up taking a day to drive up there to the location, and it was really nice that you were able to camp out at the park where you start your race. I love it when that's allowed and an option to do for the runners. So I drove up there with my tent and my car and set up all my stuff, and it's right off of the trail, so I kind of used it as an aid station as well. And was able to spend the night there before the race started. It's always fun to really get into the experience doing it that way. So after I got my stuff set up, I went over and did packet pickup. It's a nice big tent. Everybody's super friendly, and I was ready to go. So when I did this race solo, but I thought I had done a few races solo and I was kind of wanting to have a pacer. So I had joined the Indiana Trail Facebook group, which they have, and you can also ask lots of questions there and get a lot of information if you need to. It's a great resource. But I threw out there that if anybody was there and available that was close by, if they were able to pace me, that would be really nice. I'd appreciate it. They also had a board to sign up. If you wanted a pacer, you could put your name on there, and if there was people available, they would come and help you. It goes on loops, so you had to do 5 different loops, and you could choose what loop you would like to have a pacer for, or what section, whatever you needed. So I ended up putting my name on there, and I did get a pacer I chose the 4th loop. So in a really wonderful, I had a great experience. She was so kind and wonderful. I felt terrible for her because the weather got horrible, and so we ended up having a terrible thunder, lightning, rainstorm, and the temperatures in this race really dropped while we were out there. So you need to really be ready for anything, be ready for the weather. It did get very cold, it rained a lot. I did see people out there getting some hypothermia, running into issues with that. So have lots of layers, have clothes that you could change into that are dry, and be ready for that. But I was shocked that my pacer, Jennifer, still came out and paced me for that loop. I told her when the rain was really going, I said, we can get to the next aid station and you don't have to continue. I don't want to put you through this. And she said, oh no, I committed to do this, and I'm going to do this whole loop with you. So the kindness of her and all the people at these races, I was just blown away. It's really, really nice. So, and I wouldn't ask that of anybody to go through that kind of terrain and weather, but she stuck it out with me, and it was very helpful. You can do this race solo without a problem, but it is nice to sign up and have a pacer if you need it or want it, and or to have a crew. It's nice to have the experience with somebody if you want to do it that way, but totally doable if you want to do it solo. As far as the terrain with this race, it was very muddy when it did rain a lot, so be ready for that. It got super slick and muddy. I saw some people using trekking poles, which I thought was a good idea. I wish I'd brought mine. If I do this race again, I will. So if you have trekking poles, maybe throw them in a drop bag or have them with your crew to use in case you need it. But there's a beautiful lake behind me. I was just admiring it. So As far as anything else, there was not too many other technical parts. There was a few little climbs, but nothing too major or bad. The aid stations, the food was great. They were really funny. There was one particular aid station, I would joke around with them every time I came through, which was fun. They do record your time and your number as you come through at certain ones, and the food was great. So they were making us lots of hot food, which was wonderful considering it was so freezing cold and wet. They had warm grilled cheese sandwiches, lots of different kinds of soup, and of course all your other race foods, including watermelon and lots of other fruit and chips and pickles and stuff like that. So the aid stations up to that point were the best I had ever experienced in an ultra. So look forward to eating well. That was nice. Oh, and at the end of the race, when I did my last loop, they had these chocolate covered coffee beans, and that was giving everybody the boost they needed to get on into the finish. So that was cool. It was a nice touch, I thought. Unexpected, but a nice treat. And then after I finished this race, the race director was there to greet me, which I always think it's really nice when they're able to do that. It makes it more personal, and I feel like we really worked hard to get to the end, and to have the race director there to be supportive and congratulate you, I think is a real nice touch. So I appreciated that a lot. And after I finished the race, I ended up I packed up my tent and my car and all my stuff and took a little nap, and then ended up driving back to Charlotte, and I felt pretty good and I was fine to do that. But they don't let you stay overnight after the race is over. But I had asked if I could take a nap before I headed out, and it was no problem at all. So that's an option if you needed to do that. So let's see, what else about this race? It wasn't too technical as far as the terrain, besides the mud and the weather conditions. Be sure you have plenty of stuff to occupy your mind out there, playlists, audiobooks, podcasts, downloaded movies if you need to. I always do that at overnight. I look forward to a movie to listen to that keeps me entertained and keeps my mind busy while I'm knocking out the miles at night. But that's just what I do and what I use. That seems to work for me. But you can do whatever you like. Of course, with any ultra, there's some highs and lows. I never did hit a wall with this race. I think that having a pacer for the fourth loop, Jennifer, was really beneficial for me. That was the hardest loop for me, and just because I was tired, and that's when the thunder and lightning and the rain was the worst. Of course, during the worst of it, we stayed at an aid station for what we could, and then we were able to get back out there when it was safe. But just be careful with the weather. If I had any piece of advice for this race, it would be just be cautious and be ready for anything with the weather that the weather could throw at you. Be ready for lots of rain, be ready for wind and cold temperatures to drop. Have lots of layers, have some waterproof rain gear as much as you can, and try to have some dry clothes that you can change into after the rain is over if possible. Your car is not too far away from the start finish. If you park there, or if you want to park somewhere along the trail like I did, that's an option too, and you can have access to stuff. They did have one big tent that was huge if you needed to get in there and get to a drop bag. That was nice to have. So they had a lot of good support throughout this race, so you can have multiple drop bags if you need them. Yeah, it was a great experience. This is part of the Super Slam challenge, and I believe when I did it, this was the first race. So I did do the Super Slam. There's a Grand Slam and there's a Super Slam. The Grand Slam is 4 races and the Super Slam is 5. So I did complete that in 2017, which was a lot of fun. So if you're interested in doing that, I'll try to do a video on all those races and how that can go. It was cool. I'm glad I did it. The year I did it, 2017, there was only 4 of us that was able to finish. I was the only female, but it was a crazy year. So we had lots of challenges throughout each of the races with that, and so it was understandable that there wasn't a whole bunch of us. And but that's a fun challenge to do if you're thinking about it. And overall, I had a great time at this race. It was a lot of fun. I would say, if it was your first ultra, it would be a pretty good one. Like I said, it's not too technical, not too tough, and it's not, it's an easy course. You don't get lost. I didn't have any problem with the route whatsoever, and you could really get into the race and into the experience and enjoy it. It's nothing too hard or too technical. Like, there's some races out there that are just, you got some major challenges like time frames or terrain or running on the sand the whole time, or having extreme weather conditions, which it can get a little extreme out there with the cold and the wind and rain, but it didn't last, at least the year that I did it. But just be ready for it and go out and have a great time with it. All right, have a wonderful day.